I wanted to show you the part of the process in making nut cheeses. So I'm starting with almond cheese this time. So I've got some almonds here. I've soaked them overnight, and so they're quite plump, and it's really easy to get the skins off. And on reflection, I should just buy already blanched almonds because this is a bit of a process to go through, and I've got better things to do in my time. So yeah, slip the skins off and put them in the blender. So then you need to, because it's a fermented process, which gives the cheese a nice tang, so you need to add some probiotics when it's in the blender. So you can use a probiotic capsule. You can buy them from a chemist or maybe a health food store, or instead of a tablet capsule, you can use some probiotics in from your kitchen. So I have some water kefir here brewing on my bench. So you can see it's fermenting quite well. All the grains are coming up and down. So I can use some of the liquid from that. It's full of probiotics. You can use kombucha. You can use kombucha. And you could use some coconut yogurt, because that's not dairy. So if you don't want to eat dairy, just use coconut yogurt. What else could you use? You could use some miso paste. So here in Nelson we get miso paste made by the Urban Hippie, and it's unpasteurized. So you can use some of that. And what else? You can make some Rejuvenac, which is like fermented wheat. So you do it like sprouts. You soak the wheat overnight, organic of course, otherwise it won't sprout. So soak the wheat grains overnight and then do it like sprouts in a jar with a lid, and rinse it twice a day for a couple of days until the wheat has just started to sprout. Then drain it and then fill up the jar with the wheat sprouts in. Fill up the jar with water. You don't want chlorinated water because the chlorine will kill the bugs. And leave that on your bench for 24 hours at least, and it will go cloudy and it will taste a little bit sour and it will bubble. So that liquid is called Rejuvenac, and it's wonderful for adding to anything, but you can use some of that water to add to your cheese. So there's a few examples. So I wanted to show you this almond. After soaking it, it's called, what we call is an activated almond. So I don't know if you can see, it's got a tiny little sprout at the end, the pointy end of the almond. So that's an activated almond. And you can do this with all nuts. In fact, you should soak most nuts and seeds, because they help with digestion, and they soaking them takes away the phytates, I think they're called, and they help you to absorb the nutrition better. So after you've soaked them, you can then dry them in a very low oven with the door open, or if you've got a dehydrator, of course, that would be great, or a out in the sunshine. So that works too. And then they crisp up, and they just like almonds before they were soaked, and much easier to digest. So that's an activated nut. So you really should do that with all your nuts that you eat. But yeah, it's a bit of a process, really. So it's not easy to manage to do it. So anyway, I'm taking off these skins from the almonds. And then, as I said, I'm going to put it in the blender, and I'm going to add some probiotics. So I'm going to use some water kefir, or yeah, I think my water kefir is better than, well, it's quite lively, more so than my kombucha at the moment. today. I need to make a fresh brew. And you only need a little bit of liquid. You don't need a lot. So you don't want to make it sloppy. You just want to make a firm paste, and until the paste in the blender is very smooth. So if you've got a tamper for your blender, you might need to use that to keep it moving. Yeah, so you just want enough liquid till it's very smooth. And so you can use a little bit of your probiotic liquid, or one whole probiotic tablet. So I've got 2 cups of almonds here. And then you can also add some fruit, like berries, if you want to make a kind of a fruity cheese, or you can just eat it like it is without maturing it. And then what you do, you put it in a cheesecloth and sit it over a strainer, put it, leave it on the bench for at least 24 hours for it to start fermenting. And you can leave it as long as you like, and you just gauge that by the taste. It needs to have a kind of a tart taste to it. So once that's happened, you can take it out of the cheesecloth and then wrap it in some baking paper, or you can buy special cheese wrappers at certain shops. And yeah, keep that in the fridge wrapped up, and over time it will firm up, it will shrink a little bit in size, and it become very sliceable, if you know what I mean. It's very firm, and yeah, it just looks like a real cheese, and it's usually delicious, and even more so delicious because, you know, it's made from nuts and not from dairy, if you're a bit sensitive to dairy. So this is the start of the process of making cheese. I'll video the next step for you. So that's the first process.